All right, welcome in. It's Monday. It's time for more Major League Baseball free picks right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. And before I get into it, I'm going to talk Guardians Diamondbacks. We did not bring this one up on total basis. So if you're looking for 6 other deep dive game breakdowns, we got to 6 of Monday's games on the total basis show. And you can find that replay right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel as well. So let's get into it. We're going to talk Guardians Diamondbacks. And this is an interesting series to me because both of these teams are very similar. Both of these teams are somehow on the fringes of a wild card race, yet neither is a playoff team this year, in my opinion. The Guardians are 3.5 back in the American League. The Diamondbacks are 6.5 back in the National League. Both just lost all 3 games they played this weekend. Cleveland got swept by the Braves. The Diamondbacks swept by the lowly Rockies. Neither of these two teams are playoff teams, but both of these teams are still in it. So no question, this is an important game for both. And I think what you have to really ask yourself here, if you're going to bet this game and you're looking at, minus 105, minus 110 both ways, depending on your book. I saw Arizona starting to creep up to minus 108, minus 110 most places. What you have to ask yourself is, what can you live with? Can you live with Zach Gallen and Arizona's bad bullpen, but getting their good lineup? Or would you rather have the Guardians, who can't hit, but maybe have a slightly better pitching setup here? And the more I sort of dig into this, the more I think the answer to that question is the Diamondbacks. And that'll be my free pick today, Diamondbacks minus 108. So let's get into why I would prefer Arizona here over Cleveland. I think, to me, I go back to the beginning of the season. I thought Arizona was definitely a playoff team this year. And the reason they're not going to be one is pitching. They've had too many injuries to the bullpen. The bullpen is terrible. And then guys like Zach Gallen just haven't been what they've been most of their career, right? For the majority of Zach Gallen's career, he's been either an ace or a very reliable starting pitcher. And he simply has not been that this season. Now, Gallen's been better lately. He's at least been serviceable. I think his last 3 starts, which are all his 3 starts in the month of August, he's been respectable. 3.18 ERA, 1.35 WHIP over those 3 starts. And at least he's going out there every 5th day recently, and it feels like he's at least giving his team a chance in that game. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does the same here. The Guardians, 88 WRC plus for the season is awful. This is why I want to keep playing against the Guardians. They rate out like a very bad team, yet they've found ways to win games this year. Their bullpen's not as good as last year. And then you talk about losing 2 pitchers to the whole gambling thing, Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase, that were supposed to play big parts for your team this year. And yet somehow they've still won as many games as they've won. The only teams this season with a worse WRC plus, which is a great statistic if you're into some of the underlying metrics, sabermetrics type stuff. WRC plus is a very good measurement of offensive success, in my opinion. And the only teams worse in Major League Baseball this year are the White Sox, Pirates, and Rockies. That's where that 88 WRC plus from the Guardians sort of rates out, right with those teams. White Sox are 28th, Pirates 29th, Rockies dead last. You have the Guardians down there with those teams from an offensive standpoint. Now, the Diamondbacks, on the other hand, they're 4th in Major League Baseball with a 111 WRC plus. This lineup is still really good. Just loaded. Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Tyler Locklear's been a nice addition. Even with the losses of Naylor and Suarez, this is still a really good lineup. So if you can get a little bit of pitching here and you're the Diamondbacks, you should be in good position to win this game. Now, on paper, Gavin Williams is the better of the 2 starters, but let's look at what Gavin Williams has done of late. And I got to be honest, I don't love this sort of setup for him. I don't love how things are going as of last week. So Gavin Williams will start really starting to throw the ball extremely well. He threw it so good that he took a no-hitter into the 9th inning against the Mets. And when you're, some of these pitchers or some of these coaches at this point, it used to be an unwritten, unspoken thing. Like, you got to give a guy a chance to get a no-hitter. That's not always the case today. Now, sometimes they take these guys out early. It's a combined no-hitter. Like you might see someone take a no-hitter through 6 innings, and the coach just said, yeah, we're not going to run your pitch count up. That's it. Williams was starting to get it to the point where it was like, okay, let's let him go out for the 7th. Let's let him go out for the 8th. Well, they let him go out for the 9th. He ended up going 8 2/3. The no-hitter got broken up, but he threw 126 pitches. That's a lot of pitches for him. He's a guy that's typically 95 to 100. He's usually not going past 100. So what the Guardians thought was the right thing to do, which I disagreed with, and I talked about it last week, was they gave him extra rest. So they gave him 2 days of extra rest. So now they maxed him out at 126. And then they said, you know what? We're going to give him 2 extra days of rest prior to the Marlins start. So if you're subscribed to my picks, and I have a 5% play tonight as well, we're rolling in Major League Baseball, and you can see that on the site. But last week I made a 5% play on the Marlins against Gavin Williams. One of the reasons I did that, well, 2 reasons I did that. 1, he had thrown 126 pitches his previous start. And then 2, the Guardians gave him extra rest, which I don't think is always the best thing, especially when you have a guy that has really struggled with his command, even this year. You know, he has one of the highest walk rates of any starter in Major League Baseball. His command isn't always there. He throws 4 or 5 different pitches. I think he commands the fastball well for the most, he commands some of his breaking stuff well, but sometimes the fastball, he either can't throw up for a strike or gets too much of the plate. And so I didn't like the long layoff, because now you've thrown 2 variables into the mix. 126 pitches in his previous start, and now he's got like these 2 extra days to prepare, which is not always the best thing for pitchers. And clearly we were right to go 5% against him last week. He only lasted 3 innings against the Marlins. They pulled him after 75 pitches. He was totally ineffective, and he got hammered in that Marlins start. Now, if I look at like what does my gut tell me? Okay, he's just going to get back to normal, or no? Like some of those command issues that he started to display in the Marlins game are going to carry over here. I think it's the latter, because of sort of what he's done his whole career, especially going back to last year when he was kind of coming back from injury and he was down at AAA. Then he was called up and there was uncertainty. He really didn't pitch well. He had, his whip was nearly 1.4 and he had a 4.86 ERA. So the fact that that's concerning to me. The fact that he went 126, long layoff, got hit hard last time and had no command. I don't know that he's just going to snap back right into the Gavin Williams we saw for a couple starts earlier that had his good stuff. Whereas I feel like Zach Gallen is a veteran enough at this point where it's like, yeah, he might give up a little offense, but you kind of can trust him, I think, to get through 5 innings against this poor Guardians lineup. And so that's why I think the Diamondbacks have an edge, because even though you're going to have to deal with the Diamondbacks bullpen and Gallen, like, do you trust the Guardians to generate offense when they've been one of the worst offenses in the league? I certainly don't. With that being said, I think guys like Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, against a guy that's not locating his stuff and maybe leave something out over the plate, those guys will hit a guy like Gavin Williams. And the Guardians, they just don't have the bullpen they did last year when they made their playoff run. Even though Clase was having a bad season, like, you still take that arm out of the bullpen. It's a far weaker bullpen, in my opinion. So Arizona at home, I prefer the lineup. And again, I don't think this is one that's going to make my client card, but if I had to pick in this game, it would be the Diamondbacks, and Diamondbacks -108 will be the free play. 5% play is up for tonight. It's been a great run. I went 2-0 again yesterday. Last 30 days, 48-26, 65%. That's 61 plus 61.58 units. I'm up over 100 units since June 1st. So we've really turned around. It wasn't a great first 5 months of 2025 for me. We are well on our way to getting all of that back and then some. We're on a really, really strong run for the last 2.5 months. And I hope it continues tonight with another 5% MLB. As I said, I hit my most recent one, which was last week when we played against Gavin Williams with the Marlins and an underdog, +115 on that 5%er. And we're going with one that's priced right around the pick'em, like even money type price range tonight. So 5% play is up. on my page at Wager Talk, WT.buzz/AT. And there is big specials that are still up for another day on both my Major League Baseball season and All Access, which gets you all the plays. I also started the NFL preseason 3-0 for 9 units. So great start to the football season as well. And we'll definitely have some football again this weekend coming up. So check out those specials. Free play Diamondbacks. And go grab my 5% play. Total basis, 9 a.m. Eastern, every day here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. If you are looking for other free picks, we went over 6 games on total basis today, all in this format. So check that out, and we will see you guys in the morning.